Hello students, this is a continuation of lessons regarding your research paper, and today's topic is information seeking strategies. So, information seeking strategies. So what's going on here? Well, we want to know, where am I going to find information, sources / resources, and I do use sources and resources interchangeably. Whoops, didn't mean to go that far. I was trying to grab my pen here. So, pen, yeah. So I do use the word sources and resources interchangeably, and actually I just mean the same thing. So sources, resources, that means where are you getting your information? So of course, because this is a factual, formal essay that is going to be supported by facts and statistics, we want to have accurate information, and we want to be able to go to the correct sources for that right information. So we have to ask ourselves, what are the requirements given to me by my teacher? So we'll take a look at that as well. And then we want to determine all possible sources and select the best sources. So first and foremost, requirements. What are the requirements? So you want to have at least 3 sources, and I used to say I want one of them to be a book. Yeah, I'm not going to be so stringent on that this year because there really are a lot of good options available on the internet. No Wikipedia. Yeah, I'm going to say that about 10 times. No Wikipedia. Do not use Wikipedia. Wikipedia is a good place to start out to see where your search can lead you, but you do not want to use it as a resource. You do not want to put it in your citation on your Works Cited page saying, yeah, I got this information from Wikipedia because I specifically told you not to. So yeah, don't do that. So you also want to avoid .com sites, and some are okay, but ask if you're unsure. .com sites, it means commercial, and it usually, or commerce, I'm not really sure what it means, but basically a .com site is typically trying to sell you something. So if you are getting information from a .com site, chances are it is biased information geared towards trying to sell you something. And you do, with caution, you can use a .org site. Just make sure that that the information seems legitimate and reliable, and I'll give you a few ideas on how to figure that out. So that's a possibility with some, investigation. However, .gov and .edu you can use with, I would say, at least 100%, 99% reliability. So, what resources are available? Of course, the first resource that we're always going to look to is our internet sources. However, don't believe everything you read on the internet just because there's a picture with a quote next to it, said Abraham Lincoln. No, Abraham Lincoln never said this, and just because his name is attached to it, and it says that and his picture's next to it, don't believe it. Don't believe everything you read. And basically what you want to do, if you find information on a site that you're not quite sure about, what you want to do is triangulate your information. So what that means is, okay, you check it in 2 other spots. So you find information at this point, and maybe it's a little questionable. Then if you look at another website and find that there's the same information, okay, well, that's a little more convincing. However, if you find it at another site, then yeah, it's probably good information. I wouldn't say 100%, but it probably is good information. So all I'm saying here is when you find information in one website, look to see that you can find that same information in at least 2 other websites, and then at least your reliability rate goes up a little bit. But you want to make sure with the other things that I'm going to talk about that you check all of these issues to make sure that they are reliable websites. Well, what does this mean for us? So first of all, you want to choose sources that are reviewed for accuracy. Academic journals online are nearly always peer-reviewed. So that means as an academic, so as a professional teacher, I could write something, but I can't publish it, I can't post it unless I have a couple of peers, a couple of other teachers looking at it and saying, yep, that is correct information. So we can have relative certainty that anything that is in an academic journal is going to be accurate information. And you're probably thinking to yourself, what's an academic journal? Where can I find academic journals? Well, yeah, that's what I'm here to tell you. Again, look for websites marked .edu or .gov. This means they are published by an educational, edu, or governmental, gov, institution. Look for websites to be known authorities on the subject. So if you're researching space exploration, well, NASA, the National Aeronautic Space, I think it's Association, I'm not quite sure what the A means, they're known experts there. So if you're looking for information on animals, the World Wildlife Fund is one area that you can go to look for academic reliable information. National Geographic is another place that's a known authority on animals. So you want to make sure, if you're going to a website and you're looking for information on animals and you're going to, SpongeBob SquarePants website, yeah, that's not going to help. So you want to make sure that you go to websites that are known authorities about the subject. And then you want to go to well-known periodicals. So the New York Times, the Washington Post, those are generally report factually and objectively. The articles are edited before being published. There are a lot of places online, BuzzFeed, yeah, you probably don't want to go there. I mean, yeah, that has a lot of interesting information, but exactly how reliable it is, it's really hard to tell. Okay, I can't find my cursor. Go to the next page. There we go. Okay, so why wouldn't we want to use Wikipedia? So let's take a look at Wikipedia's About Us website. So yeah, you're going to read all of this. You're going to be really every word of it. So let me just boil it down for you and let you know what it says. Wikipedia is written collaboratively by largely anonymous internet volunteers who write without pay. So what does that mean? It's written by a bunch of people who are not necessarily experts, and they do it willingly, they're not paid. So anyone with internet access can write and make changes to Wikipedia articles. So you want to, first of all, these people are not experts, they're just throwing their opinion in there. So that's not what we want. They're not, and they basically, like it says, anyone with internet access can go in and change it. And I've only seen this actually once, where I went to a Wikipedia page. I think I was alerted to it. I went to a Wikipedia page and I started reading information. I'm like, yeah, that's not right. And that's because somebody had changed it. So, you want to, like I said, it's a good place to kind of start out. It's a good place to take a look and say, I wonder if I could find information, or where can I find information about that? Because Wikipedia does have, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, it does have links that show the sources that people used, and those links are typically pretty good. But yeah, you don't want to cite Wikipedia on its own. So questions to ask yourself when you're looking at a website or at an article. Who is the author? And a lot of times there aren't authors on websites. So, you kind of really have to question, is this information reliable and can this information be trusted? So if it does have an author, what qualifies him or her to speak or write on the subject? Who is sponsoring the website? Are there any biases at play here? So a bias would be favoring one point of view over another, and you want to make sure that you have unbiased websites, which is why you want to have the edu or gov websites. Where did he or she get this information? Can you verify this information from another source? Again, we're triangulating the information. You should have at least 2 other sources that you can verify the information. When was the website published? So that's another huge issue that you want to look at because, particularly if you're writing about something that's timely, like anything about technology or anything about the internet or anything about current events, you want to make sure that you have the most recent information. A lot of times, you can search for information. So for example, let me just give you an example. My kids gave me an Apple iWatch for Christmas, which was fantastic, love it. And I wanted to be able to do certain things. I was not able to figure things out just by playing with my watch to see how it can do stuff. And I went out searching for information on the internet, and the information that I found was old information, so it wasn't for the latest version of my watch, so it was basically useless. So you want to make sure that you have the most recent information, and has it been updated recently, and you should be able to find this information within the website itself. Okay, sometimes sites can look credible, but they are not. So let's take a look here, and let me see if I can go into this, if it's going to let me do this. Nope. How about here? Nope. Okay, do I need to go back to my pointer? Okay, I was able to bring it up. So, all right, so let's take a look at this particular website. First of all, it's a .com website. And if I scroll down here, basically I'm going to see information. Okay, they've got tabs along the bottom. They've got tabs along the top. And I don't see any of the information that would make me feel a little bit more comfortable about this website. It is a .com, and what I'm not seeing right now, which I typically do see when I click on some websites, some .com website, is advertising. And I'm not quite sure. I had clicked on this particular website before and there was advertising on it, but I don't know, maybe somebody pointed out to them that, yeah, you shouldn't have advertising on your website because, that sends the wrong message to students. So, but some of the things I am seeing or maybe not seeing, I don't see any author on this. I don't know who the sponsoring website is. So, it's not Mayo Clinic, which is pretty reliable for any sort of medical information. It's not the National Institute of Mental Health. I don't know who is sponsoring this website. So, while this may have some good information on it, it's really not the best information. No sponsoring website, no author, no date as to the last time it was updated. So while this may have some good information, it's really not the best information. Okay, let's take a look at another website. And this one's a .org website. I'll bring this one up here. Okay, now this one, even though it's a .org website, and again, we have to take into consideration that not necessarily is a .org website that reliable. So the first thing that sends up red flags here is advertising. Print, PDF, free, download. This looks like it's part of the website, but yeah, take it from my own experience. Yeah, that's not part of the website, and yeah, you don't want to click on that. So here's some advertisement over here. So that's one thing that is sort of a red flag to me that, yeah, this is probably not the best website to use. Look at how old the information is. So there's a date on here, but that's really old. March 2012, you know, it's probably, you know, I think when some of you, no, I was going to say when some of you were born, but no, that's not, yeah, you're older than that. You'd be only 9, so, or no, 7. I can do math. So, you know, 7-year-old information really is not the best information. And the other thing that I'm seeing, couple other things that I'm seeing here, no author, and I don't know who the sponsoring website is or the sponsoring source is. I don't know where this information is coming from. So, you know, this would probably, like I said before, it's probably an okay website. However, there are many much more reliable websites out there. Okay, now let's take a look at this one. This is the National Institute of Health. And let me actually just bring this up here. I'm sorry, National Institute of Mental Health. So if I click on the National Institute of Mental Health, it looks a little bit different here when I pull it up. So first of all, this is a .gov website, so you know we can use this with some a lot of reliability. So if I want to go to mental health information, mental health topics, let's just click on the first one here, anxiety disorders. Let me see if we can find an author here. So I'll scroll all the way down to the bottom. Typically the authors are at the top, but sometimes you can find them at the bottom. No, I don't see an author for this. However, they do have information that it has been recently revised. So it was revised the summer of last year. And I would say one other, even if there isn't an author, if there's a way to contact the owner of the website, so here's all sorts of information, contact us. They have live chat, you can email them, you can phone them. If you are hard of hearing, they have that sort of equipment. If you want to fax them, or you know, just send snail mail to them. So there's all sorts of ways to get a hold of the people from this website. And because this is a government website, there's a high chance of probability that this is good information. So, would this be a credible source about teen suicide? It certainly would. Oops, let me just find, I need to go back here. All right. Library resources. Of course, you know, if you go to the library, there are books available at the library. Just in case you haven't been there lately, yeah, there still are books. And then there's periodicals, magazines, newspapers, atlases, etc. However, the most important thing that you probably want to look at are databases specifically for research. And one of the fantastic things about the databases that are available for research is you can access these databases from the comfort of your own home. So let's take a look, and I'm going to use my local library, the Dakota County Library in Dakota County, Minnesota, of course, as the example here. So here is Dakota County Library. Let me just make this a little bit bigger here. No, that's not going to help. Okay, well, I guess I'm just going to have to move it around. All right, so, and what you want to do, and each library is going to be a little bit different, but you kind of want to dig around in the website until you find research tools. So I'm going to click on my research tools here. And what I have over here are all of the databases that my local library has. And one thing that I've noticed is that different libraries have different databases. So I'm just going to click on the A to Z databases here that they have. So we've got all data, and I'm not going to bore you with listing all of these Biography in Context, which is the one that I use quite often, Britannica for elementary, high school, and just, for kids. So there's all sorts of databases available, Discovering Collection, and basically you just need to look at the description to see which one is going to be the most helpful for you. One of the databases I would recommend is EBSCO, because you can find all sorts of, EBSCO Megafile. You can find all sorts of very good information in those databases. So what I'm going to do, let's go into EBSCO Megafile. All right, and the first thing it's going to ask you is, what is the barcode information and PIN, personal identification number, for your account? Well, this is of course my personal library card. So one of the things that you do need to have is a library card, and there should be a number, a barcode number on your library card, and then your PIN, your personal identification number, is typically the last 4 digits of your phone number. Mine is not, so yeah, don't try that. So 6516, yeah, that's not my PIN number. So you're probably writing down my number right now, but yeah, no, it's not going to help you. So basically, when I log in, what it's going to show me is the database that comes up. So one of the things you want to do is you want to do a search. I heard somebody, I can't remember who, wanted to do one on tigers. So if I just type in tigers, I'm going to get all sorts of information. Tiger moth, maybe we want to modify this. Let's say tigers endangered, because yeah, that would probably be a better search. So then you're going to get information on endangered tigers. And you kind of want to go through, some of these are going to be a little bit more challenging to read than others. So if this doesn't work for you, maybe you want to choose another one of the databases. So for example, let's go and look at EBSCO. Okay, let's try another one. Let's try Explore Kids, and let's see what happens here. So then if I type tigers here, endangered tigers, then it's going to have information about that. So what we have here, so I'm going to Studies Find New Hope for Endangered Tiger Populations. I'm going to click on that, and it's going to have information on tigers. So you can read this information, and it has all sorts of really, really good information about endangered tigers. One of the things that I like to show you is the biography in context, and the research topic that I typically use for this purpose, for teaching purposes, is my favorite topic is Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So if you go into the biography in context, you can see that it has all sorts of information on people, notable women, filmmakers, athletes, Supreme Court justices. So I'm going to type in what I want to look at. Whoops, Franklin D. Yeah, then it should pop up. There we go, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. All right, so here's all sorts of very interesting information on Franklin Roosevelt. So if I go to, let's see, if I go to biographies, there's all sorts of very, very good information on Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my presentation here. Okay, so again, if you have a library card, you can access the library's databases online, and you can also request books from another library in a different part of the state. And let me just show you, let me just take a quick look at that. And what I'm talking about, and this is not just for research, but it's also a good information to know just about how to use your library. So one of the things that you can go to, if I look at books and materials, if I click on my books and materials tab, and I may have to kind of dig around here for it. Novel list, no. Ebooks, no. Books. Okay, well, I'm not going to find it, and I'm not going to waste your time digging for it. So I'll just give you the database. It's MinLink Gateway. And what MinLink Gateway does, the previous session has timed out. Well, that's okay. What this does is it gives me information about all of the books in the state of Minnesota. So if I come over here, I'm just going to move this over here. If I want to do a basic search, what it's going to do if I type in, let's see what I've done in the past, ancient, Greek mythology, we'll do that. And when I click on search, what it's going to do is it's going to click, or it's going to search on every single library database in the state of Minnesota. So here we have Anoka County, Arrowhead, Carver. It even has a lot of the college libraries, so Bethel, Concordia, Hamlin, St. Kate's, University of Northwestern, University of St. Thomas, and then all of the other libraries in the state of Minnesota, county libraries, and also, of course, the big one down here, the University of Minnesota, all of the campuses. So if I click on search under Greek mythology, it's going to pull up every single book in the state of Minnesota that talks about Greek mythology. And not only that, it's going to be Greek and mythology. So, here's all sorts of books. So if you find one, a book that is interesting to you, you can actually get it. So I'm just going to pick, okay, Rick Steves, Greece. So he's the travel guy on Channel 2. And I can see that this is available at the Scott County Library. So if I click on this, one of the things that I can do, oops, I have to move my frame over here. I can't figure out how to get it bigger. One of the things that I can do is I can get it, and I can get this particular book delivered to my local library. But again, of course, you have to have a library card, because if I click on it, it's going to ask for my library card information and my password. So those are just some of the things that you can use to get information from your local library. Go back to the presentation here. Okay, what information do I need? So you have these databases here, and you have all this access to research information, you have internet access to information. So when I am doing my search, what do I need? It's kind of like, you're not going to be able to get the information you need unless you have an idea of what you're looking for. So you need to have your topic, and you need to have your perspective. And then you need to write yourself a list of questions regarding what you want to know about the topic. So, for example, my topic is Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and my perspective, because I know a little bit about Franklin Roosevelt, and I know a little bit about history, and I know a little bit about World War II, I do know one thing, that number one, he was a president. He was a really good president, my favorite president. So he was very, very influential. He was probably one of the most influential presidents. But another thing that I know about FDR is that he suffered from polio. And polio is a debilitating disease that kids get in childhood. All of you probably, when you were babies, got that polio vaccination so that you wouldn't get polio. But it was a really big epidemic when Franklin Roosevelt was younger. So he did contract polio, and it's a disease that can sometimes kill people. But what it did to Roosevelt is it made him a paraplegic. In other words, he was paralyzed from the waist down. He actually could not walk. And by looking at past footage of him, past pictures, you would not know it. but it's something that he actually tried to hide from the public because he didn't want people to lose their respect for him and their confidence in him. All right, so I have my topic, I have my perspective, then I want to ask some questions. So some of the things that I want to know from my research is, when did he get polio? How did he get it? What are the symptoms and long-term effects of polio? You know, because in the back of my mind, I'm thinking to myself, you know, why would Roosevelt be so afraid that people would find out that he had polio and couldn't walk? You know, maybe there's some sort of brain, it affects the brain, which actually it doesn't, but you know, that's a possibility. So then I want to know, how did he lead the U.S. out of the Great Depression? Because that is one thing that he's really noted for. He had all these programs and whatnot that helped the United States come out of the Depression. How long did it take? And I want to know specific statistics. So from that, I'm going to develop 3 statements here. So I have my perspective, my topic, and my perspective, and these are the 3 main things that my paper is probably going to be about, that I'm actually going to write about. So some further questions: what did he do during World War II, and how was he a humanitarian? And if I look at my information from my database, so I'm going to go back to that database, and I'm going to find very specific information. Let me see if I'm still there. Yep, so I'm going to find very specific information. You know, the first question is, when did he get polio and how did he get it? So right here, he contracted polio. Here's information that talks about how he got polio and, you know, all this information. So this particular article, and what I want to do with this article in Biography in Context and in all of these databases, you do have the ability to download it and save it to your computer. And then when I used to do research papers, now I'm a little old-fashioned, and I wanted to have that piece of paper in my hand so that I could highlight it, I could make notes on it, which is actually something you can do right here in the database. But I like to actually have that piece of paper printed out. And what I would do is I would highlight the information that I wanted, and let me see if I can highlight this. Okay, so if I can go down here and highlight, there we go, so I can highlight that information so that I know if I came back to this, I think I can save this somehow, save to my folder, and because it's tied to my account, I can save this particular information. And you can do that too, but like I said, I do like to have the printed paper in my hand. But this is a very, very good place to save that information. So, you know, basically I'm going to just go through this and I'm going to read this. And, you know, I don't have to read the entire article. I saw here with the heading that this is the information that I want to know. You know, what was the deal with his polio? And then I can get the information from there. Okay. So what I want you to do now, and I'm going to put this right on the in the next page, so you can click on the next page, and I want you to watch this YouTube video on avoiding plagiarism. And it's a really good video, and it shows you, you know, exactly what plagiarism is and what you should and shouldn't do, and it's kind of amusing. And then after that, I want you to click on the next page to take the quiz for this lesson. That's all I have for today. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you next time. Bye now.